Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie, Ruthless. A high school coach whose teenage daughter was murdered, that's awful, takes matters into his own hands by going after the men who kidnapped his student for their human trafficking operation. Oh, okay. So, I'm sorry, I misread it. I thought like a coach whose daughter was murdered, he went after them. But it seems like he goes after somebody who kidnapped a student. So she must have been, I don't know, I have no idea. I'm guessing here. It's my hypothesis that his daughter was murdered, and he harbors that inside, obviously, as many fathers would. And then his student gets kidnapped, and so he unleashes his anger that has been built up inside to go after the man who did it. I'm guessing. Bad news, 4.8 on IMDb, but only 406 people rated it so far. Good news, Dermot Mulroney's in it. Now, this is why I'm watching this. Like, okay, and again, those of you, Dominic, everybody else who has been watching this channel for a period of time and been subscribing, I appreciate it, thank you. We know, and anybody who watches movies probably knows, up until a point, Bruce Willis was doing all different kinds of movies. Like all these named movies that we've never heard of, you know, like not popular movies. Nicolas Cage starting to fall into that, you know, and there's a lot of different other people that, you know, they drift into it. Right now, Dermot has been popping up a lot in these movies. Now, you know, My Best Friend's Wedding he was in. He was in Young Guns. I remember him all the way from back in Young Guns, the first one. He's been in a lot of different things. But now, honestly, I swear over the last month, and I'm not talking the actual month, 30 days, I've seen him in no less than 3 movies that I've never heard of before, you know. He was just in Lights Out. Lights Out was a movie I watched. I liked it. It was good. But he's in that one. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I mean, is it just love to act? I don't know. But I've added him to my list that I'm going to start watching, you know, anything that he's in. So, trying to think of the other guy I always watch. Emil Hirsch is the other one. Starting to creep in there. But he's a little bit younger, you know. And he's getting in a lot. So I'm watching these guys. I see them, so I'm gonna watch their movies. So let's see if it's worth it. Stick around. I'll let you know. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of Ruthless. I think that's the greatest name for this movie, but I don't know. I mean, Relentless, I think, is better than Ruthless when you watch this movie. And I'll also start you off with this. I know I talked earlier about Bruce Willis and Nicolas Cage and Emil Hirsch jumping into all these different movies, and now we got Dermot Mulroney jumping in as well. He's picking some good ones, I think. I mentioned before I liked Lights Out. This one I liked as well. And it's like, you know, it's not one of those over-advertised films. It's just something that just happens to pop up. It was done in 2023. I don't know why I'm just finding it now, but it showed up, and it's like, well, Amazon, like for $2.99, whatever, let's do it. And so I liked this film. I thought it was good. It kept me engaged the whole time. I was not on my phone more than a minute, you know, and so it didn't, you know, I wasn't distracted at all. It was shorter, so it was just over an hour and 30 minutes long. And it's like, while it's not the best subject matter, I mean, human trafficking, you know, sometimes it can work out in a sense when you watch films like that. I don't want to spoil it for you, but he is and it's what they said. I mean, he is a high school, I believe, yeah, high school wrestling coach. And 4 years prior to this, his daughter was murdered, so he harbors some of that. And then, you know, a girl on his wrestling team, the only girl, kind of gets roped into human trafficking. And so, you know, he had built a little bit of a connection with her, but once that happened, he really went forward and did his best to try and rescue her. So, again, I thought it was really good. There are some areas of opportunity with this film. I think, you know, there's some pieces. Yeah, I'll just give you some examples. The detective, the actual detective, who happens to be the detective on his daughter's murder, but then also happens to be the detective involved with this, right? 4 years later. So, small town, Los Angeles, right? So, you just end up with the same detective. Okay. But in the beginning, there was nothing wrong with him. I didn't see anything. But then, you know, it starts off, so they're going to look for the girl, right? And she has a mother. And so, of course, she's really scared. Well, they're in Los Angeles. They're going to go to Las Vegas to try and solve this, right? And so she just jumps in the car with them, and he like tries to talk her out of it, like, hey, this is going to be dangerous, but ends up taking her. Like, come on, really? Really, the lead detective who's going to go get in the middle of all these human traffickers is going to allow the mother to travel with him to Las Vegas? You know. And then while he's on the way there, he then calls a human trafficking, like, division or whatever they are, and says, hey, you know, it's like, that should have been done, not nonchalantly on the ride to Las Vegas. So there's pieces like that, yeah, I could look past them, but I think it's fair to share that with you. Like, the film's not going to be absolutely perfect, but it was pretty good. I liked Dermot Mulroney's character. He's got, like, you know, like MMA skills, I guess, or fighting skills. And, you know, you don't know how exactly he developed them, but he does show him working out with, like, a sparring partner and stuff like that, but he was pretty good, and they show it right from the beginning, so it's not like a surprise, but he's not like the other piece of it, too. In some of these movies, you get, like, the person who can take on 15, 20 guys, you know, and even with shooting guns and stuff like that, it wasn't like that. It was more, you know, being logical or being strategic and doing certain things. And sure, it did a little hand-to-hand fighting and stuff, but like nothing super ridiculous, I would say. I mean, a little bit with the fighting, but again, not pulling guns out and doing flips and diving behind couches and stuff like that. It was more like, how is he going to infiltrate these people? And, you know, he does that. Again, some of the things you're like, yeah, really, they're going to just let him do that kind of stuff. But when it came down to the action, at least it wasn't, you know, completely unbelievable and more realistic for his character. So I do have this question, but I will do a little bit of spoiler alert, because early on I had a little bit of a prediction. I like what they did with it, which is cool, and we'll talk more about that. But I had a little bit of prediction that I missed a mark on, and I wanted to share it. And but that's only for people who want to hear more about the film later in a second. Real quick, in the end here, this is a serious question. I don't know. Can you just go be a detective? You know what I mean? Like, say I helped somebody with some case somehow, some way, and they thought I had really good skills. Can they just be like, hey, come down to the office and you can be a detective? Or is it more like a, you know, consulting kind of job? Like, yeah, come on down, you can help us with this case. Or can you just be a detective? You know what I mean? They'd be like, hey, we like what you've done, and do that. I don't know. So, anyway. So, probably, I don't know. But let me get into spoilers a little bit. So if you haven't seen it, you don't know what it's all about. And I'm probably not going to spoil the ending, but I am going to talk a little bit more openly about it. So spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I had thought, so Johnny, whatever his last name was, the one who had ended up going to prison for the girl's murder, and smiling in court, that was awful. But that whole thing, I had thought, you know, like, the ending of this, which I would have thought was really cool, would have been, you know, Dermot doing whatever he does, but then being sent to prison, him not caring, which we showed, you know, through the film, him not caring, but then getting Johnny in prison. You know what I mean? That would have been the end. Sure, the guy goes to prison for everything that he did leading up to the actual ending of the movie, but, you know, then he gets that with Johnny. Now, that does not go unresolved. If you haven't seen the film, I'm not going to tell you. But they do wrap that up with a little bit of a bow for you anyway. But I thought that would have been, that was my prediction. I'm like, I know what's going to happen here, because they threatened him with 10 years for assault on Tommy. And I was like, okay. And he didn't seem to care. I was like, that's not going to, maybe it is. Maybe he's going to go solve this and rescue, and then they're going to come back and be like, yeah, 10 years for assault. He's going to go in, and that's how we're going to get Johnny. That would have been another route to take, you know? So there you go. There's another alternate ending if you want to make another one. But that's it. That's all I got for you. Enjoyed it, as you can tell. I'm a little bit excited. I like little movies like this, and again, he's picking out good ones, I think, and they work for him. He's not out of character, I don't believe. So Alright, I'm out of breath. Hopefully I was helpful. Thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.